Okay, so today I'm going to share with you how I was able to turn a $25 investment into over $100,000 in pure profit for my freight brokerage. And the best part is I did all that without investing in cryptocurrencies or NFTs or stocks or gold or bonds or anything like that. So I really think you're going to enjoy this. It's a very simple strategy, but let me start with a story. Okay. So here's how it went. I don't remember exactly what year it was, but it was probably in the early to mid 2000s. I was growing my brokerage and I had landed an account, and we'd been doing 3 or 4 loads a month for that account for several months. But I knew there was a lot more opportunity. I knew they had a lot more freight, and I knew we could service them better and ultimately help everybody make it a win-win-win. They get better service, we make more money. But I tried, no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't grow the account beyond 3 or 4 loads a month. I was struggling. And so I came up with an idea. And the idea stemmed from a conversation I had with the shipper where they had talked about their favorite pizza joint and how they went there or they ordered pizza from that place and how they all really enjoyed it. And so I filed that kind of in my mental Rolodex. And then I had once again, this idea. And I said, you know what? Why don't I try this? I wonder what would happen if I bought their entire office lunch, the shipping dock, the warehouse workers, the people on the dock, the shipping managers, everybody that was down at the dock working. If I were there physically, I would buy them lunch, but they weren't local to me. They were way outside the area. I think they were somewhere in Illinois or something, and I was in New York, so it wasn't feasible. So what I decided to do was to order lunch from their favorite pizza joint. Now, this may seem very simple, but lean in and listen to what happened, okay? Because I ordered the lunch. It was scheduled to deliver the next day. And then the next day came, and it was business as usual. And we were still just moving 3 or 4 loads a month, or 3 or 4 loads a month. So it was pretty slow ultimately from that shipper. I mean, we had other shippers, but ultimately, I let that day go by. They enjoyed the pizza. And the next morning, what happened was I sent my client an email and I said, I hope you enjoyed the pizza. Cheers, Dennis. And that's all I said. It was that simple. I had no expectations of them calling me or giving me more freight. It was really more like a science experiment. And lo and behold, within about 2 or 3 minutes, the phone rang. So he calls me up out of nowhere and starts thanking me incessantly for buying lunch and how generous that was. And thank you so much. And I really appreciate it. And it was such a simple gesture of showing them some appreciation for the business they had gotten me. Well, here's what's happened. Okay, what happened after that? Within the next week or so, we were already doing 3 or 4 loads a week. And within the following month, we had already quadrupled our business from 3 or 4 loads a month to 3 or 4 loads a week. So just in the first month, we started seeing huge growth. And the only thing I can attribute it to is that science experiment, sending them that pizza, without them having to ask and with no expectations of them remunerating. And ultimately, it brought our relationship closer. And then that became a much better relationship because he realized that I appreciated him. And so what happened beyond that was within about 6 months, I converted that, 3 or 4 loads a month into over 10,000 a month in profit from that one client every month, 10,000 a month. So by that point, we were probably doing 30 or 40 loads a month. And, it became a very good client for us for many years. We far exceeded 6 figures in profit with that client over time. And I tell you that story because what I want you to understand is this. There are really 3 takeaways from this story. The first one is that you have to be different. You've heard me say this before. I did not coin this phrase. Different is better than better. It's hard to be better than everybody at price and service and communications and all that, right? It's hard to be better, but it's not that hard to be different. And one of the things I was shocked at is that my prospect, my client told me after I had sent him that pizza that they had never one time had a broker buy them lunch ever in the history of him working there. And I think at the time he'd worked there for several years, and they had never had a broker buy them lunch. And so automatically that made me different. So being different sometimes isn't better pricing or better service or better technology or better communication. Sometimes different is just different, right? And so that's number one, be different. Number two, I want you to accept and acknowledge the fact that sometimes you have to test and try new things. And the reason why people don't do that is they're afraid to fail. They're afraid that it's not going to work. Well, guess what? Who cares? A lot of the things you experiment with are not going to work. But guess what? Even if 70 or 80% of the things that you try don't work, if you can get one or two things like this example to work well for you, I mean, you're talking about huge return on investment. I invested $25 in a lunch to order a couple of pizzas that I had delivered, and that turned into hundreds of thousands of dollars for my business and a great relationship with that client. Now, just imagine how many times I could do that over and over and over again with clients as a way to enhance and develop that relationship, right? And so that's number two. I want you to be willing to try new things, experiment a little bit with no fear of failure. And the last thing is, which is really important, you have to be willing to reinvest some of the profits back into your business. I don't care if you're doing 3 or 4 loads a month or 3 or 4 loads a day, or whatever the case may be. The fact is you've got to reinvest some of those profits back into the relationship, back into the client, into retaining and growing those accounts. And so when I was only doing 3 or 4 loads a month, it's not like we were making a ton of money, but we were making a heck of a lot more than the $25 I reinvested back into the account. And you can see the ROI that it had. So my point is that every dollar of profit that comes into your business shouldn't go into your Hip National Bank. It shouldn't be something that you spend on new cars and new houses and vacations. Those are all great things, but you have to be willing to reinvest those profits back into those relationships, developing new relationships with clients and growing and retaining existing relationships. So those are the 3 takeaways. Number 1, be different. Number 2, try new things and experiment. And number 3, you have to reinvest some of those profits back into your business. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. And if you did, make sure that you give me a big thumbs up and share the stream or share this video wherever you're at. But most importantly, if you're curious about becoming a freight broker or a freight agent, and you're just not exactly sure where to turn, check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com. I've trained over 10,000 students. We've been in business over a decade, and we offer a 60-day, 100% unconditional money-back guarantee. If for any reason you're not happy, just message us and we will gladly refund your money. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you click the bell to get notified, and I'll see you next week.